Fourth quarter earnings are coming up for Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast. These should be coming out February 6th of 2023. And now we're going to find out how well or how bad the company did. But either way, this video will have information you need to know. If you're hoping to see Chris Cox fired or Cynthia Williams gone just like I am, this may seem like a bit of a disappointment, but we're gonna get to that. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here. Thanks again for hanging out with me on the channel today. Welcome back, everyone, to another little bit of an installment of what happens in the finance world when things don't go your way, when you've done bad things and you're kind of either gonna pay for them or get away with it. There's like two sides to this, everyone, okay? So first off, Chris Cox, president, CEO, whatever you want to call him. Yeah, one bad move like this, one bad quarter, you're not going to see somebody like that removed. Okay, when you look at why CEOs are replaced, it's like less than 22% of the time they're being fired for poor performance. Usually a CEO builds the company up to a certain point and then like just jump ship because they're filthy rich. Now that's for bigger companies. Hasbro is fairly large, but probably not big enough to Chris to do something like that right now. He's going to have to make his mark first. He wants to build up his equity. So chances are, if you were hoping he was going to get fired, it's not going to happen. Okay, not this time around. 1 or 2 or even 3 or 4 bad quarters don't really make that happen. And I'm going to explain why as we go through the video. Now, for Cynthia Williams, that nice upstart who came to us from Amazon. She's the one I really want to see gone. I don't like the idea she doesn't understand magic, let alone what's happening in Dungeons and Dragons, guys. We're going to get started on that later on, but let's face it, there's a lot of unhappy things going on, and Wizards has made some poor choices in the eyes of many of us. Many of the player base are upset, but we can't change that right now. All we can do is see what happens. Now, if you want to see somebody like Cynthia Williams fired, if you want to see Chris Cox gone, that really has to come down to the board, right? All the voting executive art, the board, man, they get to decide that stuff. And chances are they're not going to, because boards don't like to be wrong. They always want to be right. They want to think they've made the right choices in the people they've picked. So even if it costs them money, I mean, look what happened to Disney. Just because things go bad like this doesn't mean that they are going to fire these people. It's going to take more than that, okay? But there are some things we should be looking for. Let me pop up the first screen for you here, and I can start explaining what I mean. So here we have our Q4. If a company reports earnings and their final numbers end up falling short of the consensus analysts estimate, then they have missed their earnings number. This will usually result in weakness in the stock, and the analysis downgrades that stock. An opposite of missed earnings is beating the number, okay? Beating that number. Now, here's the funny thing when you talk about that. When you're talking about missing the earnings call, it means if they said the company was going to make so much money and they don't, that's a miss. If they beat the call and they made more than they said, then that's beating the number. The funny thing is, beating the number doesn't have much effect on the stock. But missing the number, losing it, and going below what they expect you to make, that can hurt the stock price. And that's what happened last time. When we take a look at the last conversation we had with good old Chris Cox and those wonderful people, revenues of $1.68 billion. You guys can read all this. You can see where it's going. The revenues were down 15% year over year, decline of 12% on the constant current. Don't you love the legalese speak? The constant currency basis. Operating profit, not total profit. I love how they do this kind of stuff. Have declined by 47%. But here's the thing. Look at the second paragraph. As expected, the third quarter is our most difficult comparison and was further impacted by increasing price sensitivity for the average consumer, said Chris Cox. To achieve our year outlook, we are projecting the fourth quarter revenues to be approximately flat versus last year on a constant currency basis, with particular strength from our Wizards of the Coast digital gaming segment. Really? You think the digital segment's going to make you a lot of money? Because you jacked up the price, you've been taking things away from people, Chris. I know. So we can see that Chris believes that the fourth quarter is going to be kind of flat, but not anything horrible. That will be what happens. I actually think it will be kind of flat. The funny thing about an earnings call is they can drag it out a little bit to gather up some more funds to make things look a certain way. So even when things are not going your way and you haven't made the revenue you said you were going to make, to all your wonderful financial analysts, to all your investors, there are ways around it, which is what Wizards will probably do. So for some of you guys hoping for like a smoking gun, saying all kinds of horrible things, like they've got to admit that all these horrible things happen, they're not going to. That is not what you're going to expect from a company this size or the professionalism of somebody like Chris Cox or Cynthia Williams. They're not going to go that route. Picture something like this instead. That's right. This is called bad news that is hidden away inside how a company speaks to you. So when you take a look at this, we are talking about a stock buyback. If things don't go their way, they will actually buy back some of their own stock to make the prices look more comfortable for the average investor. Enhancing preferred information, which means, yes, certain areas are not doing well, but we have a new Transformers movie coming out. We have a new Dungeons and Dragons movie coming out, and we believe those are going to generate a lot of profits. That's called kicking it down the line. They are purposely doing that kind of informational read to their investors to say, yes, there's profits coming. They may not be here quite yet, and they're kicking the problem down the line by making you believe other things are going to solve the problem. And of course, the last one, strategic timing. Now, strategic timing is the least likely one. That's where they're going to do their earnings call, do the report on the last hour of the day before the markets close, and people just miss it and don't pay attention. That is not likely to happen. I think they will do it early in the morning because they realize that there are too many eyes focused on this. But the other ones, enhancing the message. They're going to say, Magic's not doing great right now. There's a lot of, outside problems not related to Magic. We're not overprinting cards. It's not the price-sensitive consumer right now. We've got logistics problems. We can't get deliveries on time. There's card manufacturing problems. All the problems. And then they will focus on, but don't worry. We got some upcoming D&D licensing, OpenGL we want to go over with you. And then, hey, we've also gone ahead and we've got great movies coming up. The fans are going to love it. They will do anything they can to make the eyeballs of the investors look left or right, but not dead center. Okay, that is what is going to happen in this kind of situation with a company of this size. They've got to make sure that they don't look too bad or too good. Even if it is bad, you're going to have to read between the lines. Now, a stock buyback, that will depend on how much gross revenue versus net revenue they have left. They've got to pay out the dividends to keep investors happy. But if they have money left over after that, then what they can do is if they know they've got to pay out, let's just say they make $60 million and they got to pay out $45 million in all kinds of investor dividends. And they got like $15 million left. They can use that $15 million to do a stock buyback, which will raise the price. When you announce a stock buyback, it will raise the price because it looks like you have an extra liquidity to make your stock more attractive and more valuable, and you don't need as much cash flow. That makes other investors drawn to those particular assets. It's very interesting to see this stuff play out. But let's get to the crux of everything, shall we? They messed up bad. And in the eyes of a lot of players, LGS is out there, we are hoping for some cataclysmic smoking ball of fire to come down and nail them, to smite the company and teach them a lesson. I'm hoping for it as much as you guys are out there, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think we're going to be that lucky. I really want it. I really do. And you know what? I'm not going to tell you what I wish for on my birthday because it won't come true, but let's just say my birthday just passed and I made a particular wish. And I really hope that it comes around, that wish comes true. And if it does, we're going to talk about it. So when you look at a company like this and you look at the expectations, this company's not 20 years old. It's been around a long time. They've been around the ballpark a long time. Chris Cox knows what he's talking about. He knows the right speak. Cynthia will tag along. She will have his back and he will have her back for right now because they're riding the coattails of each other to get through the year. And they will hope. They will look at a forward thinking, right? Forward, because forward thinking means profits that haven't been realized yet. They are forward thinking down the line to possible asset classes which will generate them future revenues. And right now, they're scrambling with D&D. They thought they could get away with it. And the D&D fans came out, armors and shields in hand, and they smote them. That's what they got. They got smoted. I don't care if it's a word or not. That's what happened. It was amazing. It was like power word kill. Delay Blast Fireball, and they all come out at the same time. And you know what? They were riding a Chimera, whatever you want to call it back in the day from Greyhawk. They're coming right at him. It was awesome. Taking the Spelljammer ship in and just thumping them one. Soul Helm and all. And they deserve it. They deserve what they get. And I hope it ends badly for them. But I have that feeling, because I know how companies like this work, those two people are probably not going to get fired. They might get a talking to. There might be some boardroom conversations with the expectations going forward. Maybe they'll have a more muted tone in 2023 when you see their Q1 and Q2, depending on how things go, depending on how players decide to forgive or not forgive. Because forgive or forget's not going to happen. Players will not forget what happened. We are never, ever going to forget M30. We're not going to forgive them for D&D. In that sense, Dungeons & Dragons and Magic players are a combined force to be reckoned with. This isn't just a couple toy collectors playing G.I. Joe, although I'm sure they're mad too. Prices went up on all those toys as well. Hasbro is scrambling to come up with a way to solve this and fix it. I don't think they have that solution. And I think the Q4, when you read between the lines at what they're talking about, you will see it's exactly as I've stated here. I think I'm going to be dead on this one. I don't think I'm going to be wrong. And you need to know this stuff, because if you get your sights too high, your disappointment level is going to be massive. They are not going to lower prices on Magic products as much as I want them to. They're going to keep them price status quo. Will there be a few surprise products added this year? Yes, there will. They purposely didn't give us a full lineup. Will they add extra ancillary things in to help cover some of that revenue gap? Absolutely. Expect it, and you won't be disappointed. Choose and choose wisely, just like that company did when they picked those two people to run it, and see where things go for the future of the company. It will take time. Everything in this world with companies like this takes time. And they will scramble to find a different way to get money out of our pockets, and they will find, with inflation, with the price-sensitive consumer looking for more value than ever, because there's no way our salaries rose. I know my salary didn't go up nearly enough to cover the inflation we are dealing with. I mean, look at things like Dominaria Remastered. It basically costs double the price of a regular booster pack now. And what were my packs? What were your packs? Did you get good cards every time? How about mediocre packs? How about just bad packs? It kind of seems slated against you. The odds are in that favor, and that's how companies like this are. You can't change that, but you can shop smart, shop S-smart, right? Go down to the sporting goods department and decide what you want to spend your money on. Don't go opening the Necronomicon and getting sucked into the void. That's just a recipe for disaster. You'll have to pull your whole face out of and be really long and elongated. Don't worry about it. Those of you who know what I mean, you know what I mean. So thanks a lot for being here. I hope this video gives you a little bit of insight in what you should be expecting from the company, as well as the people talking during these meetings when it comes up for that conference call, for the earnings call to come in. This kind of video will help you kind of assess what you should be looking for, and you can kind of read between the lines. I can't wait to see your comments in the comment section. Thanks a lot for hanging out to the end of the video. I put a little bonus clip at the end if you want to watch, enjoy a little bit of arena gameplay, just to see how my deck is doing. Thanks again for being here. I'll see you tomorrow for another video. I just want to take a moment to thank all the patrons again. Patrons are by definition people who support someone in the arts, someone they believe in. And because you guys believe in me, I believe in you. Thanks again, everyone. Okay, guys, as you can see here, it's late in the game. Now, what I did was I used things like Depopulate, again with Farewell. I used small creatures like Aether Channeler to take things out of pocket, make them forget about them, or at the same time use Aether Channel to unsummon things I need to keep alive. Either way, Karn doesn't look like a threat until you get lots of counters on him or lots of artifacts. Karn mixing with Urza is a nightmare for people because you can put 4 of those things into play, and of course you can do 4 damage right away that turn when you have the emblem. Use that along with Teferi, who slows the sun to untap and tap things. Wow, you can get just so much damage done. The players are like, how is this happening to me? And let's face it, when they're dealing with Urza, they're not thinking about other things that are out there. So they want to clear him off, but then they forget about Karn. And in this case, you can see these combinations of Planeswalkers I'm showing you work really well. Thanks again for watching, everyone.